Santi, coming back to you guys with another one. Recognizing the Game, episode 24. This is Semen Retention and the Fight for Your Masculine Energy, part 2. Black flag, ya tú sabes. You know what it is. So, when it comes to semen retention and taking your energy back, you will be less dictated by the things that women say and do because you will be grounded in your masculine energy. There are similarities between men and women, but there's distinct differences between a man and a woman. And the way in which we navigate the world is going to be different because we're built different. This whole idea that there's a superiority of women, of the woman compared to man. The fact that their bodies develop much faster than a man's. But that is not indicative of her spiritual maturation or who she is based on principles, morals, and ethics. You see, time and time again, as men develop, being that our bodies are different, our bone structure is different, and we're built different, it takes more time. So you hear this narrative that women develop faster than men. But it's not the case when you look at what women go through and the things that women talk about in their complaints about men and them lacking accountability for their choice of men. But to get back to it, we have a more developed, heavier muscle mass and things of that nature results in us developing over a long span of time. So you'll hear women trying to attack a man or men when our biologies are different. In reality, a man is built for more longevity in our sexual nature compared to a woman. But only when he is not overcome by illness and disease will a woman outlive him when she has actively taken care of herself on an emotional, spiritual level, which ultimately will make her more resilient. It'll make her more resilient. And when we cultivate our semen and retain it, that masculine energy is within our testosterone and aids in our development, nourishes us and contains phytonutrients. So to waste that energy in excessive masturbation is to be giving away your power, which is your life force. And when we think about life force, it's like it's something that is there, not just to create more life, but also help sustain yours. It's not just for creating another life, but also to provide and be of service to you. When a man harnesses that energy, it will elevate your understanding of what it means to be masculine and what it means to be a man. You will be more centered and more in tune with your inner world, your intuitive faculties, and your spiritual being, because you are a soul in a body. You are a soul inhabiting a body, and you will be in tune with these things that, from an esoteric standpoint, are considered to be feminine. All right. So because of that, you will be able to define yourself in your own way, and it won't be based on what is popular or socially acceptable at that time. And I'll get to a point where I talk about indigenous understandings of the different type of beings that predates and is much more grounded in nature than what is talked about and discussed by this new age ideology of the LGBTQ and how they're promoting it. So, and because you have done the work and you have chosen a different path, not coerced to take one, women cannot dictate what you do because you are not dictated by women. You will promote more cooperation between the sexes and those who may identify with a different gender. You are not ruled by the lower sexual desire in the way that the next man is, because a lot of men engage in masturbation. So You set yourself apart by going down a different path, as difficult as it is. Think about the power of an urge alone. Within that urge is the power of the masculine energy and the urge to masturbate, the urge to have sex. But when men become dominated by that, we make very immature, irrational decisions. And when you look at both men and women as a whole, think about how many decisions have been made from lack of control over one's sex drive. And some are deeper in the hole than others when it comes to being controlled by this need for sexual release from artificial stimulation and being ruled by the animalistic mind, the animal nature. And we're not saying this from the standpoint of demonizing one's own bodily functions. So think about that and how this develops from social conditioning and the media. And as I've said, masturbation is a destructive habit when you have become owned by it. And for a lot of us, think about the things that we saw coming up from middle school to high school, how girls acted and how the guys were. The females were just as fast, quote unquote, as the males were. And most of us started masturbating in middle school between the ages of 11 and 10. Possibly earlier, possibly later. So when you're looking at the powers that be, the men and women, the people who are active in the community in a way where they're just reinforcing the false narrative of society and all of these fabricated models of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, to the point where you find yourself subjugated to your own desires and you're wasting your energy, making yourself weak as a man. So people end up wasting their earlier years, the prime years of their youth, having babies before they've gone out and experienced the world and truly experienced themselves. You see a lot of this going on with women. So you can't allow yourself as a man to get caught up in this idea that women are superior to that degree. That idea being perpetuated that women mature faster than men essentially keeps them from being held accountable. And they'll make excuses, regardless of them being younger and not having known what they needed to know because they had yet to gain that knowledge. It doesn't exclude them from the repercussions. But at the same time, it is women out there that as soon as they had a baby, they reach a whole new level of thinking because they know how sacred that connection is between a mother and a child. And it awakens a higher awareness within them as to what's important and what they're capable of. And that's a small percentage of women of higher value, and they've had to face a reality that is rarely being taught and can be harsh in the same time once the realization sets in. And many women at the same time, they don't evolve, just as many men don't evolve and start producing a broken culture, which starts with homes being broken. People are either growing up in households with parents who are strict with rigid structures, or single parent households that lack any balance and is absent of structure. But I'll touch more on these issues just in terms of how sexual energy is being used to manipulate the masses and whatnot. And this is what I mean by recognizing the game. Love. Salud.